Hey everybody, what is up? My name's Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife, and we'd like to welcome you to TerreDice.
And today we are traveling off the edge of the map into Everdell Farshore.
Yeah, so this is a standalone game from a series that we absolutely adore. This is Jonathan's favorite game of all time, and they have just released a standalone game of the Everdell universe, Farshore. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and dive in. So if that sounds like something you might want to play, just keep watching.
As you might have guessed, in Farshore we have traveled to the far shore, where we are on a small island with a lighthouse and a cute little seashell-shaped board. And man, I should have done the seashells thing. She warmed up, I didn't. But all of our creatures are marine, aquatic. You also got puffins and ducks and just beautiful little birds and other creatures that would be around here. Now, it is a very similar play style to the original Everdell game. It's still a worker placement. It's still a tableau builder game. However, they have really tightened up the mechanics in this game.
All right, so first of all, let's start. What's new in the game?
Okay, so new things in this game. You have a little boat that is going around the little bay.
Cute.
You put one of your meeples in
Cute.
it. It's adorable. And the way you move that boat is there are the winds of change. So there are these two tiles that are out. One is for the type of cards, so like commons, critters, constructions, unique. The other is for the suits of cards, which is everything except purple. And you shuffle that all together, and you get one of each. That is for the current season, the winds of change.
Do you hear that? It's the winds of change. Monsters Inc. reference for all you people out there. Okay,
Thank you. Yes. So if you play a green production card and that's what it is, your boat moves forward. If you play a critter and that's what it is, your boat moves forward. So you can move it forward up to twice when you play your cards. Now what that's going to do is it's going to give you two things. It's going to give you points and it's going to give you treasures.
Yes.
So treasures are a new resource type. It's a wild resource type, similar to like the axolotls, like wild like bucket thing.
Yes.
And essentially what it does is it counts as a wild resource, but it also, if unused, counts as 2 points at the end of the game, which is kind of big. So you're gonna maybe want to keep some left over at the end of the game. There are ways to convert stuff into treasures. There are ways to get more treasures out of your current resources. So wild resources are a big part of this game. It gives you a lot of flexibility. Now, the winds of change definitely change which cards you play when. It really influences what you want to play. Because you want those wild resources, you want those points. And for reference, in a game of about 120 points or so, you will probably score about 50 of those from the boat track, which is like pretty crazy. Another major change for this expansion is how you go into the next season.
Oh, yeah.
So in this one, whenever the last player goes into the next season, it's going to trigger the winds of change to change what the current scored card types are. And then also at the end of the second season, it is going to sync 2 of the islands, which replace the forest locations. So you can actually choose to make 2 locations go away by being that last player into the next season. You're also only getting 1 meeple every time for each of those seasons. So a couple of different changes. And what I found was really interesting about this change is that it actually made me choose to push to the next season because I didn't like the current winds of change, because I wanted to change things up and make it, better scoring or put myself in a better position. And so it gave me reasons to go to another season other than I'd squeezed the life out of all the resources and was like ready to move on.
Yes, I did feel like this was an improvement, because sometimes when I play Everdell, someone would be in the 3rd season and someone would still be sitting in the 1st season and or you'd be like, oh gosh, like, and then say so I think this forces people to move along, and I think it speeds up the game.
Yeah, and you have no reason to want to get that many types of the same card. So, yeah. Now, the next major way that this game has changed is they have taken away the goals around the tree and on the tree and have replaced them with map tiles. Now, these map tiles you can achieve once you've built enough cards of that card type. There's enough map tiles for everyone to get a map tile, and the multipliers is what changes. So the first person to get it gets a 2x, the next person gets a 1x, and then the last person gets a 0x. And that is the number of points you get per other map tiles, all your map tiles that you have achieved. So that is a really big way to get points, and again influences which cards that you play.
It's interesting because it doesn't change at all. So every game you play, it's going to have the same goals. but it does, like, how much they count for does depend on the player count. So that's specifically what is new. So let's talk about what has changed, maybe been improved upon, tweaked slightly. Let's dive into more of those. So one big thing is going to be the chaining. So in the original Everdell, each card has like a pair that it will go to. So you can play a construction and then you can play a critter of that matching critter of that what says that card is. You can play that for free. That doesn't really occur in this game. In this game, instead, you have 3 anchors. So you can chain 3 times.
It's like your gold doors in Everdell, basically, like in the New Leaf expansion.
Yeah. So it's 3 times, which is you anchor it to that, and it just has to be of the same category. So like the leaf construction you have to play a leaf critter to match them up. They don't have to be a specific card, which was very interesting, and it gets you thinking about the game in a whole new way.
Yeah, no, this was a huge change because chaining is probably one of the things that when I talk to people, I'm most likely, if I'm going to get a complaint, it's going to be about something like that because, there's only 2 or 3 of the card, it's in a deck this big, how are you going to find the pair? Really, the way to chain is like to already have both the cards and then decide to play them because you found them. But I think that what this game really does is it says, it's just about what cards you need, and you can make those chains work, and they can come really in handy at the right time when you need to play a different card. And so we found ourselves using them throughout the whole game.
Another big change is that you can there's no more doors, so you can't go into someone else's world. Like,
no more open signs.
You can't go into other people's villages and take their spots. Like, everyone is closed off. You have to stay in your own village. No one can intrude and mess up anyone's plans like that.
Yeah, now that was the one that would frustrate a lot of people because, you took my space. I only got 1 point for it, and now I can't use my own card that I constructed.
Yeah, I remember playing games with you that I had built it specifically for this reason, and every game you had this, like, copy another player's action or, like, go there and you'd be like, yeah, that's me. So that was a big change and a tweak. Another, like, smaller tweak is that I feel like the cards are a lot more readable. So they've upsized the text. They've moved how much things cost into it's made a little bigger, a little off to the side, so it's very clear about how much things are. Yeah,
it's each positionally in the right place.
Yeah.
It's definitely much clearer. It's just on a bright card too. There's less text. They found a way to kind of make things look a lot nicer overall. And I think they've simplified some of the card effects and improved some of the card effects too.
Yes.
Another quick little update is the big giant tree that blocks your sight from 30% of the table is now a skinny little lighthouse. It's really there for decoration at this point. It really
serves no purpose.
You could play without it entirely, but now at least it doesn't block vision, which is really awesome. I think it gives it that 3D vibe that Everdell has always had, except that you can see from every part of the table. I played from the back and I could see just fine. And another quick nice rules edit is that we actually now, anytime you have duplicate cards in the bay, they get stacked on top of each other. So that's huge because it means you'll always have 8 unique cards in the bay. So love that. Also, interestingly, since resources are pretty difficult to get, a lot of the new cards are using cards for different reasons. So a lot more discarding cards, a lot more drawing cards, and spending them to do other things other than play them to your city.
Yeah, I didn't feel as depleted as I do sometimes trying to get rocks, like in Everdell, or stones. I felt like here I was able to be flexible enough to get the resources I needed.
Yeah, and between the wilds and things too, that helps, yeah.
Let's move on to art. So another big change is that the art is not by Andrew Bosley, who's
not the first in the universe.
Done all of the Everdell before this. This is done by Jackie Davis, who did the cover for Red Rising. She did Kabuto's. She did...
yes, the Lederhosen SpongeBob.
Yeah, she's an absolutely wonderful artist, and I think she did a stunning job with this.
So good.
Yes, it is so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I love the style that this is in. Everything has this sort of like sea foamy kind of wash to it, and it's feels very nautical. Yes. The detail on the cards is just gorgeous. Yes. At first glance, you probably wouldn't even notice that it's a different artist because it's a similar, elegant, detailed style. But if you look closer, totally different brush strokes. But it's really cool to see that they've taken a new style, a new artist, but she's done such an amazing job with it.
Yeah, our daughter's room is done in a nautical theme, and I was telling John when we opened it, I was like, how do I get one of these prints? I'd love to put it on the wall. They're just, each card is, you can tell there's so much love put into it. Yeah. And it's always fascinated me, how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, Farshore is kept with like the beauty that I think makes Everdell,
Very
along
much
with being
so.
great gameplay, so popular.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Deluxe resources too. We have the driftwood, which replaces the wood from before. We have kelp, which replaces the stones. So it's like actually like little rubbery kelp, which is fun. And then you have like the resin. We have some dusty sort of like sandy sea stones, and then you have mushrooms to replace the berries, which are all super
it's
cute.
really cute. Oh, then instead of like the paper money, you actually get seashells.
Yes. So there's no cardboard among all that stuff, just the tiles.
Yeah, and the fact that this is just like not deluxe, is just like how it comes, I think is really cool. And then all of the cards, you'll notice that they kind of like, they're similar. I would say that like it's like the people in the Everdell universe, but now they've been like nautical-fied. I would say.
A couple of them are, like the wood chip becomes the sea chip. Yeah, but I think
also lots of fresh ones.
There's
too.
a mix of old cards and a mix of a lot of new mechanics.
Yeah.
So there are several new cards doing some really cool things.
It's not just a reskin. There are like new mechanics, but it does give those nod to like the people, like the postal pigeon, like oh my that's just like like Everdell, and it makes you happy that it's there.
Yeah.
But lots of fresh new takes as well.
So, okay, we've talked about the changes, we've talked about the new stuff. Overall, it's fairly similar. I would say my sort of impression of this is that there are several critiques of the original Everdell game that I've heard. The tree's too big, it's like mean when you take people's spots, the meadow gets flooded with a lot of duplicates of the same cards, chaining is really hard, it's hard to get cards. It feels like they took all of those things and corrected for them. So that was like the first major half of it, was like correcting for those critiques, it felt like.
So with them streamlining things, I think sometimes they might go a little too far. And I think one thing we've really found that to be was the map tiles, which are some of the mini goals that you're going for throughout the game.
Yeah, so if you played the original Everdell, basically there were these goals that you could go get once you have done a certain number of cards of that type, and it would give you some points. Now, the sad thing about those goals was that multiple people could be working towards them, but as soon as one player achieves it, it goes away for everybody else. And so that would be really frustrating. Now, what they replaced it with were these map tiles up on the dunes that basically say, I'm going to get 2 points per map tile, 1 point per map tile, 0 points per map tile, based on if I'm the first, second, or third, in a 3-player game, to get this goal, but it allows everyone to achieve it. Now what's nice about that is it means all players could achieve all 6 goals if they wanted to, theoretically. However, it is such a massive like source of points that it really forces you to chase after it. And so what ends up happening is all 15 of your cards match that map, because that's like the way to do it. And so your town ends up looking very, very similar every single game, because you're always going to go for those map tiles, I feel like.
And what I didn't enjoy was that if you didn't go for those map tiles, then you were most likely going to lose.
The rulebook even warns you.
It says like you need to go to these or you will lose, and which is exactly the case. Like when we played a 2-player game, like he like walloped me the first time because I didn't go for the map tiles, because I was like I didn't think about them, and I was like, oh, let's just see what happens. I lost horribly. So not a big fan of that you have to go for this mechanic and that it's going to be those same goals every time. I think that's one of my big critiques of the game, with those map tiles.
I feel like it really should be dialed back. Like I almost feel like it would be solved just by being 1-0 empty instead of like 2-1-0.
Yeah, I think they're a little too powerful.
Yeah. Net, I would say there's a lot of really positive changes. I'm just a little bit worried that those map tiles are going to decrease the replayability of Farshore.
So that's that. Now let's go into player count. So what player count are we enjoying this at?
Yeah, I think I really liked 3-player.
I did really like 3-player.
This is what I like Everdell probably most at too. Yeah, so just really nice, tight little iteration going around. Turns are the right length, game is the right length. I think 4-player is just fine too. It gets a little bit long. 2-player though, I did not enjoy Farshore 2-player as much as I enjoyed regular Everdell, specifically because of the map tiles, I think. So I think we'll probably house rule it and dial it down to 1-0, and I think we'll be okay.
I think in the 2-player, because of those map tiles, it can really cause one person to dominate those map tiles, especially if like the one player isn't maybe as strong as the other one, or they haven't played Everdell as much. But I think in the higher player counts, the map tiles is balanced more, because there's more people vying for those, so one person can't as much get carried away with those map tiles. Now, here's the big question. if you have never bought Everdell, do you get Farshore or Everdell?
That is a great question. And honestly, I think that they both have so many good things about them that if you really like nautical themes, you should go for Farshore. Like, this game is so cute. Really well done, great production value. They knew exactly what they were building when they built it, and they succeeded. It has that strong core gameplay of Everdell, with just a lot of fun new things to it as well.
But with that being said, I would go for regular Everdell if you know you want to build off of that universe and you know you're going to like it, because there are a lot of expansions to the regular Everdell, and it does have that chaining that people really like. I personally really enjoy the chaining. So regular, you can't, like, it's hard to beat regular Everdell, but let's say if you're a big fan of Everdell and you're like, do I get Farshore? If you're a big fan, I think you're gonna love Farshore. I mean, I think I was for me personally, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Everdell, but it's like ocean themed. That's like my favorite thing ever. So for me, and it coming out in the summer, it was a big hit.
Yeah. I think, it's really gonna depend too on if there's expansions for Farshore, which I feel like there could be. We have the really cute seashell shaped board. What I thought, because it's all ocean, right? There's no actual. I thought that the expansions could be islands, and what's really nice about that is that Everdell's already a game that's a big table hog. It's hard to fit it on your table, especially with a board that has a very specific shape. So with little islands, you could put them anywhere on your table. Anywhere you have room, you could put the island on a chair. And so I thought, like, the islands might be a good way to do expansions. I could see there being a whole expansion about pirates where it's all super take that, like, bring back the anger and take that. That could be super fun.
So I love the pirate theme. I think when we call, like, apples to oranges, why, yes, there's a lot of similarities to the original Everdell, I would say, of course, because it lives in the same universe. It's literally the continuation off the map of the same universe, and I think it melds, like, beautifully into the Everdell universe, and it's one we're going to keep on our shelves. I love the new like, components. I think they're adorable, super high quality. The entire production is just, like,
very good,
top-notch
nice
quality.
insert. Lots of good stuff.
And I love that they surprised us all with this. This is like and, like, no Kickstarter for this. They're just like, yep, you can get it.
For reference, we also had no idea what we were receiving in the mail when we got it. So it's cool to see that they have such a good grasp over their market to understand what needs to be built. And I feel like this filled a gap for a lot of people. It's like, oh, you want to play Everdell? No, I don't like that the chaining's dead. Someone actually has told me this. I don't like the chaining, and I don't like the tree, and I don't like this. And I was like, well, there's Farshore. And I think it fixes a lot of that.
So I think that is the overall review of Farshore. I'll put a link down below where you can find this game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We really enjoyed covering it. And thank you so much for the folks over at Everdell. We loved getting a chance to check out this game. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know whenever we put out a new video. And we'll see you next time.
Happy playing!